back to Contemporary Black Voices, where we discuss issues affecting the Black community. Before we get started, you might hear some music in the background. Well, this is San Antonio, and this is Fiesta Week, and there is a pop-up event going on right outside the door. So if you hear music, just enjoy it like we're enjoying it. So as I mentioned in the last segment, I want to talk about who is the college protester. So many college students protesting saw changes, first of all, in their high school traditions where they saw high school graduations done virtually with social distancing celebrations. They witnessed a January 6th insurrection and questioning whether Trump would get his judicial consequences. They are seeing U.S. citizens becoming homeless while illegal immigrants are receiving funding and places to stay. They saw the global protests surrounding the murder of George Floyd by a policeman caught on video. They have witnessed a shutdown of areas of belonging on their college campuses due to anti-DEI initiatives. They are about to lose a major means of communications, TikTok. 60% of Gen Xers use TikTok, and 40% of them are aged 16 to 29. They are seeing large job losses in corporations and threats to future jobs if they participate in pro-Palestinian protests. And politicians, they've got the nerve to question their current protests after seeing innocent people in Gaza being killed or moved like cattle from one place to another with the risk of being killed. So these are just some of the characteristics of the students protesting. There are babies from the lockdown who graduated, and now they're seeing a continuation of ongoing events one after another. They have a lot to say, and you know what? And I support them. You've got a college student.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's not out there protesting. I can't get him off his PlayStation. So but he's not out there protesting. But yeah, I do. I see, and I understand the statistics from this generation, and it is a completely different generation. It is a generation that has that did grow up kind of witnessing those mass protests during
the lockdown.
During the lockdown, during the George Floyd incident. So yeah, this is a new generation, and honestly, I mean,
you know, and mentally, we all saw it. You remember the pictures on YouTube of all of the empty streets around the world? That had to do something to them mentally. Where are the people?
No, that's one point. For the majority of those kids that are out there protesting, like the point that Chris made earlier, those kids are not anti-Semitic. You know what I mean? They're not. They see the deaths of 35,000 people. And so you want kids to react to that. You want kids to be moved by that. If these kids are questioning the world that they're going to inherit. And they don't want to inherit a world where might makes right, or where the strong can simply dominate and take over and kill the weak. And so you want kids that are passionate, who are going to stand up and resist those challenges. And so we hear often, we talk about the rollback of democracy, and we talk about all the coup d'etats and stuff like that. And so you have a generation that is standing up against those anti-democratic principles, and you want that. You know what I mean? You can't have it both ways. You can't complain about violence, and you can't complain about the rollback of democracy or democratic principles, and then also complain when the kids stand up and have a voice against those kind of things. And so we can't have it both ways.
I think there's 2 points that I want to point out. One is the Jewish community is divided. And I'm talking about it even between the students. There are some students who are just saying pro-Israel no matter what.
Right.
Okay? And then you've got the other side who is saying, no, we don't agree with the people that our people, the Jewish people, are killing as well.
Right.
That's one side. Then the other point that I wanted to make is that I think it's kind of cool that the kids, you have to give them credit. They are paying attention. They looked at January 6th and what happened at the Capitol, and they all got masks on. They don't want, they don't want to be identified. So I think you can definitely say that they are watching. And then the final point that I will make is that when you talk about protests, I think something that when you and I were talking off camera, what's the difference between what happened at January 6th and what these kids are doing?
Peace.
Protest is protest.
This is what we're seeing here. And I'm telling you, I have not heard of any violence on the campus.
A peaceful protest.
Except maybe law enforcement getting over.
The violence is coming from law enforcement.
Getting aggressive. But the only difference is what we saw on January 6th, that was violent.
That was violent.
And then to your point, they had a lot of them had masks on their face. These students are fake, are maskless.
No, they got masks on.
Some of them do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got masks on. They got, you would think COVID's all around them, but they really protecting their identity.
Okay, I didn't see all that, but they're peaceful. Right. They're not hurting anybody.
Right.
They're just making a stand.
And the difference is the January 6th were insurrectionists who wanted to overthrow the government.
Right.
These kids are kids who are standing up against violence and injustice. So there is a big difference between the two protesters. So, and I've heard some to the right try to complain and try to ask, well, what's the difference? Well, that's the difference. One is trying to overthrow the Constitution and then the government of the United States, and the other is trying to stop the murder of women and children.
But interestingly, Caleb, is that the insurrectionists, okay, Trump is calling them captors, okay? And these kids that are wanting to protest against other humans being killed, they want to do away with that. They're passing laws to say these kids cannot say these type of things. I mean, we are living in a very different country.
Yeah, and these kids also are facing the threat. Okay, on the elite campuses, Wall Street usually recruits for those positions from the elite campuses. But now Wall Street powers to be are saying, you know what? Any student from these campuses we're not going to hire, because they're too soft.
If you get caught protesting.
Yeah, if you get caught protesting, and they're already saying they're too soft.
Too soft?
Yeah, they're too soft.
I would think that protesting would say that they would be too hard as opposed to being too soft.
Well, you got to remember what goes on Wall Street. Whose money is flowing through Wall Street?
Right, and that's the thing too. There's an outside influence in Wall Street of one particular group, and so you have a lot of those people who are big time financiers and investors and stuff like that, who are saying that we aren't going to hire the kids from these campuses if they get caught, which is baloney anyway. It's bullcrap. They're going to still hire those kids because those kids are the kids who the vast majority of those kids that go to those elite universities come from elite families. So they're going to end up getting hired anyway.
Right. Okay. I agree.
So,
So there's a lot to be said about these protests. Where you stand on it, is up to you. But again, I think everybody on this panel, we're for the kids. We want them to be treated safely and fairly. Oh, yeah. And with that being said, we invite you to put comments into the area and make also give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our show. And with that being said, we're going to come back with hot topics.